Welcome everyone. This is the third interview and today I'm with Sarah Clark. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her history. So when she was 28 years old, she received a diagnosis of premature ovarian failure. She accepted the diagnosis and had both of her children through IVF. But years later, she realized that the root cause of her infertility was a food sensitivity and later a gut infection. She's a certified life coach with accreditation from the International Coaches Federation and a health coach with training from the Institute of Integrated Nutrition. She's the author of Fabulously Fertile, Supercharge Your Fertility Naturally. Her fertility coaching program, which includes functional lab testing, supports couples to make diet and lifestyle changes that dramatically improve the chances of a healthy pregnancy and baby. On her Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, she shares that with functional medicine and natural fertility solutions, we can eventually reverse infertility. So I am so excited to have you here today, Sarah. Welcome to the Embrace Fertility podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, well, it's so lovely. So yes, I've just decided to open up the podcast and start getting other fertility experts in just to come and have a chat and share. There's so much wisdom and so much we can do. And like you say, you accepted that diagnosis and it was only later that you discovered that there was so much you could do to enhance your fertility. I think it's so important that people are aware that there are so many different things that they can do to help themselves. And today I'd really like to talk about your new course that you've been developing, talking about communicating with your future child. This is something that absolutely fascinates me and really helped me while I was going through my own journey through infertility. And it turns out that the children I was imagining and chatting to before they were conceived are pretty much exactly the children that I've ended up with. That I have Evie, who is very energetic, bouncing all over the place, just won't stop laughing, and Jasper, who is very reserved, very shy, holds back. These were exactly the children I was imagining, and it was like when I thought about them, that's sort of what I pictured. So yes, fascinated to learn why you decided to create this program, how you got interested in this, and yeah, do share.
Yeah, so I really created the program because I saw there was a need. So we take a functional approach where we're doing functional testing, we're doing functional lab testing such as food sensitivities testing, hormone testing, we're doing stool testing, looking at the DNA of the stool, and hair tissue mineral analysis testing. Really take a really targeted approach with diet and lifestyle factors. So that's the body part of it. So we're looking at the stressors. So a lot of people we see have a gut infection, a food sensitivity, and the environmental toxins that we know about plastics and personal care and cleaning chemicals, and then the mental emotional stress. So the mental emotional stress, or the mind piece of it, there's so many triggers on this journey. We get caught in our own patterns of thinking, that loop of, so I work with a lot of people that have, so like myself, premature ovarian failure or insufficiency as it's known now, low AMH, a diminished ovarian reserve. And for that population, typically IVF is not an option, and they may have been told by a well-meaning RE that donor eggs are your only option. It'll never work. So for me, I didn't discover the functional side of things until I was fully in menopause. So I'll never know for sure. I had all these health issues going on. I'll never know for sure the connection. So there's the body part of the stressors we work with, the mind side of things of being able to get your mindset right, and then the spiritual side of things. So most people I work with are type A, busy professionals, achievers, like attacking this like a wild, same to me, attack. And the spirit piece is equally as important as the protocol of supplements and eating, an anti-inflammatory diet. So I've developed the Step Into Your Power course is really part of my whole part of my whole offering. But with that piece, it's the spirit side of things, where many people with those diagnoses where they've been told donor eggs are your only option get into a very, very dark place where they can't even see it working. They can't visualize themselves as a mother. They don't think it's going to work, that their eggs are, that they're old, or even if they're like POF or low AMH can happen when you're young, that, you know, and so it's just this repeat loop, and that's the mindset. And then they've lost touch with their intuition and the spiritual side of things, and being able to listen to your intuition. You know, we're taught with authority figures, doctors, teachers, parents, all of that, you know, they know more than we do. Or when we're in the middle of a struggle, we need to consult all of our friends, all our family members. What do you think? And I used to do that. I'd be like, what should I do? Now I'm like,
there's 25 different opinions. You're like,
yeah.
oh.
And now there is still kind of like a little urge, but I'm like, no, sit with it quietly. Sarah, what do you want to do? So that's like listening to your intuition, those spiritual nudges that we all get all the time, where you see, like for me, it's a lot with books, but like with book, I'll see a book and then I'll see it again. And I'm like, and then I just get it. Cause it's like, what is this thing to tell me? Or is it, and then another interesting one is like, literally you start thinking about someone and they call you. Like that spiritual side of things is, and it can be, you know, God, higher power, the universe, whatever that is for you. But like, there's some synchronicities in here. We're not alone, and that really helps, because this journey, it is a mind F that, like, you're literally, I don't know if you can swear on your podcast, but
that's fine. I do.
There you go. It's a mind fuck, because I typically, I don't usually swear on my podcast, but that just kind of came up there. But I am a swearer. But yeah, it's the uncertainty will play with you, and the impatience. Like, and I was so in the uncertainty, we want to control. We want to, and with the type A attacking, we want to control it. And that's where the functional approach is very empowering, because you can control all, like you can control what you're eating. You can control your sleep, like those sort of things you are in control of. But the uncertainty piece of it is very overwhelming. And that's when if you tap into your intuition, that's where you can really feel like there's that sense of peace, and that controlling, pushing it starts to minimize, and you're not in that like panicky jumping through the Zoom at me going, give me the supplement, like, you know, because I need, you know,
tell me exactly what to do to make it.
Yeah, so that's why I developed it, mind, body, spirit.
And that just resonates so much, because I find the same. There does seem to be a trait with women going through infertility, that it is because you feel so out of control. You feel like, if I could just control everything, if someone could just tell me exactly what I need to do, I will do it, and I will do it perfectly. And then they do all the things perfectly. And then if they're still not getting pregnant, there's this huge guilt of, there's something I'm not doing. Whereas, if you can get quiet and really tune in with yourself, there's so much freedom in that. There's so much just space that you can just learn to. So I talk very much about getting happy while you're trying to get pregnant, that a lot of people forget about the getting. It's just all about the getting pregnant, and it's like, well, let's focus on just getting happy and out of the stress head area, and see what develops.
Yeah, a lot of people put joy on hold, where you're like, wait, I'll do that when I'm pregnant, or when, you know, when I have my baby, I can do all that. And so you'll minimize yourself away from family and friends. You'll stop doing things that you as a couple, like this journey will either pull you apart or bring you closer together. So, but it has kind of be intentional about that, because a lot of times, especially all the triggers, there's so many triggers in this journey, and even the question of, when someone asks you when you're going to have kids, that's a general question that we ask, like, how's the weather? And it's like, when you're going to have kids, you know? And so you can either take that and go down like a spiral of that person's so insensitive when it, you know, or you can realize that question really has nothing to do with you, and they're just asking essentially the weather. Now, there does need to be a conversation about that, of people not asking that question anymore, but until that, you know, and it is about educating, so your family and friends, about how you want them to handle things. But like, when that question comes, what do you do? Do you want to like lash out at the person and you go into a hole for like days, weeks, months, or do you like, okay, that's not about me, you know, they don't know what I'm going through. I can either drop a bomb right now and explain what I'm going through, or maybe that's not the right person to explain to the grocery store person, you know, whatever it is. But so there, I think the trigger piece is huge. And how do you react or respond? Like, they've touched the button on you, and what do you do?
Oh, totally. Because that's the thing, isn't it? Is being really aware of, also, if you're working on your mindset and your well-being, instead of it being like you're hypersensitive because everything's like just there under the surface the whole time, so the tiniest thing can then be this big blow up. If you do connect with yourself, then it's like you can deal more with the kind of flow. Okay, so talk to me more about, so you said spirituality, like bringing in this third piece. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I think it is key, especially if you are that type A, pushing, impatient, you know, the uncertainty, and you're trying to bring control to it. That is like a stressor on the body. And you've got I'm here with my shoulders up to my ears, and you're clenching, and you got your little boxing gloves on, and you're just gonna, like, that even that expression of the fertility warrior, attack it.
Yeah.
You know, it's very kind of that masculine energy, where the feeling energy, and we all have masculine, feminine, and it might, in our society, is more heavily masculine. I think it's starting to kind of come back a little bit, but more of listening to going with, you know, where are you in a state of flow when you can, you know, you lose track of time. Where do you, like, for me, I need to be in nature. Like, I'm literally like fighting to get to nature so I can
give me the trees.
Give me, literally, let me be in the grass, let me take my shoes off, let me just be at the beach, let me be out. Like, I get outside twice a day to walk the dog, but I just like to be in nature. So for me, it's nature. Maybe for someone else, it's a special place they have in their house, like a little altar that they've got, where it's like could be a picture of you, as, you know, a happy picture that you have of yourself, like just those things, where, like, stuff that makes you feel good. In the course, we're going to be talking about, like, helpers you have in each room. So it's like little, it could be like a picture of you, or it could be like a little, you know, I have a little crystal that I like to have, or like little touchstones, things that will then, when you look at them or touch them, just remind you that you're not alone. And also, like, a lot of this was like with our ancestors of, you know, you're from your mother, your grandmother, your great mother, your great grandmother. And even in dreams and things like that, when people come to visit you, like, what are they saying? And that can be that can be really comforting. I have, like, great dreams, and I have a lot of people, you know, in the past, that kind of people that have passed away, passed on, come and visit me, and things to say. And not that that's another to-do list of you, like, now I gotta
connect with people in dreams.
I need to connect. Check off. Yeah, so not, you don't want to do that, but it's like, you know, you're not alone on this, and people, and it is like, how would you approach this journey differently if you knew the soul of your baby was waiting? You just knew he or she was up there waiting for you, not on your timing, like divine timing. How would you look at it differently? Would you be as panicked? Would you be as constricted? Would you be as, you know, the impatience piece is huge. So what would you do differently? Maybe you'd still have the foot on the gas pedal, but it wouldn't be like rammed to the floorboard and you're flying like a maniac through the thing. And this is all, like, I'm super impatient. So this is all stuff, like, for me too, as well. Like, I know I'm more connected when having said this, I haven't meditated in like 2 months. So I literally was daily meditation, shit happened, and now I haven't meditated in 2 months, and I do feel like my shoulder being like twisted up, and I'm like, I feel like I need to go on some quiet retreat somewhere. But that's like the calling that comes back, right? Where you get out of, and I know, and then you can see that you end up reacting rather than responding. Someone says something and you're like, what the frig are they? You know, you were, yeah. So you're very reactive. And so like that piece is like, to look at these pieces is key.
It's learning that awareness, isn't it? Like, you're aware of, you know, because you haven't meditated, that's the repercussion, like how it's affecting you. And that whole foot on the gas, like, that's what I talk about in my course. If you imagine, like, saying to a friend, like, ringing them up and going, I want you to come to dinner at my house, like, can you come now, because I've been inviting you for a really long time, like, if you could just get to my house now. that is the kind of energy, isn't it, that a lot of people, especially going through treatment, are like, it has to be this month, it has to be this cycle. And that, yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that phrase, fertility warrior. And I see, but it's kind of like, it seems about like fighting and bracing and charging into things,
Yeah.
rather than, if you send out an invitation that says, if you imagine sending out an invitation to your baby, it's like, we're ready for you, like, we love you, come when you're ready. Because that, suddenly it's out of your hands as well. It's not
Yeah.
like doing all these things. And obviously it can be a bit different with treatment, because obviously there's the whole financial thing and you're going through so much to go through that treatment. But it's still, if you go into it going, here is the invitation, that's so different to that demand of like, get in my womb now.
Yeah, that masculine pushing, controlling energy, which it can be beneficial obviously for achieving, but how is it serving you now? And like, to me, when I'm impatient about something, so underneath it, it's like fear because I think it's not going to work, and then a lot of frustration. Like, I literally imagine myself banging my head against the wall, going like, oh my God, it's not working, it's not working. And so, like, anything in life is like the journey, and enjoying where it is, and noticing when that stuff comes up. You're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm feeling a little bit, and like, so for me, if I'm not aligned, if I feel I want to like yell at my husband or whatever it is, I'm like, oh, I didn't have enough the self-care buzzword, but I didn't take time for myself. What are those 3 things you need each day for yourself? So, like, really, we know the boundary buzzword and all that stuff, but that stuff is important. Like, saying no to stuff that you don't want to, be a part of, and like, what is it that's right for you? And if someone, like, I coach my clients on, if people in your family or friends are saying things that trigger you, well, it's well-meaning most of the time, and it's up to you to educate them. They don't know how you're feeling, so for you to say, when you say this, it makes you feel, I'd like you to handle a baby announcement this way. I'd like you to handle a shower invite this way. I'd like you to do this way. And a lot of times we don't even think about that because we don't really know what it is we want. But when we sit back and go, wait, it really hurt me when you didn't include me on the baby shower invite, because you're my best friend. Of course I wanted to be there, but you should have come beforehand and said, how would you like me to handle this? Because maybe you'd go later and leave early, and you could do it on your own terms, instead of just feeling people are tiptoeing around, or maybe they're not tiptoeing around. I've got clients that people are giving them baby clothes because, like, just stuff that they thought it was well-meaning. Oh, when the baby comes, you'll have the clothes. No, I don't want that right now. So I think it is an awareness of what you need.
And that's the thing, is it's a lot of the time, like you said, people don't know what they need, and they just know what feels wrong. So it's like, they're like, I know I don't want this at the minute, but sometimes they can't even. So I've been working with a client at the minute who can't even kind of imagine what she does want, not just in terms of fertility, but any other area of her life, because she's got so far away from like her own sort of natural compass that she's kind of like. So part of my course, we do like the wheel of life, and we talk about all areas of the life, because a day it can be, we're going through infertility, it's like you get the wheel of life and then you stamp like a massive silhouette of a baby on it, and it's just, everything's obliterated, giant faceless baby. So I was like, right, let's take a step back and look at, do you want your home to look like, your relationship, your friendships, you're like, there's all these other things, like the creativity in your life, all these different things. And she was like, I don't even know, because I got so used to being in this limbo land of, there kind of is no future yet because it's not happening.
Stuck.
And it's kind of, and that's what we want to change, that you get excited about everything. Because when you're planning exciting things as well, you're changing your energy now, and that's the important bit then, that you're really, you're in the present moment, because you're thinking about things. We're doing vision boards as well this week, so we're getting the scissors and the glue out and doing something really fun and sort of crafty, that's so different from what a lot of people would normally be, in that mind space. Love it. So talk to me a bit. So I got interested. I'd seen one of your emails saying about the course and being able to, sort of tune in with the fact that your baby is out there. Talk to me, is there something that people could do now to kind of get in touch with that, or something that people listening could, like a little bit of homework we could give them to connect in with that?
Yeah, I think with your intuition, where to, you know, when you see yourself wanting to ask, if there's a decision coming up and your knee-jerk reaction is to go and ask others, like sit with yourself. Okay, wait a minute, what feels right for me in this? And then you can consult the people. But like, what do I want here? Like, to really think about that. I think that if the more you do that, then you don't find yourself always going out, because look, I think everyone knows when you've gone against your gut or your intuition, it doesn't work out. It's always like, why did I go and ask that person? They don't know me. Like, even if they do know me, even if they are your best friend, you've known them for life, they don't really know what is right for you. And so, and getting all that information just clutters. And I sort of say, before clarity, there's chaos, and we could be like creating all our own chaos of asking all these different people. So I think it's, you know, a simple thing to do would be to connect to the breath, you know, to do some breathing exercises, the 4-7-8 breath, like to in for 4 and then hold 7 and out for 8, like just to breathe and to get quiet each day. I like the app, the Calm app or Insight Timer. Sit with that. Here's me telling you, and I haven't done it in 2 months, so I typically try to walk my talk, but I'll be going back. But yeah, like it is, because I know the benefit of it. When I don't do it, I right now I got this huge knot in my neck, and I hadn't had that for years, and I haven't meditated and as I say, in a while. So it is not to say you need to meditate. And for you, if the meditation, you're like, I don't want to do that, you know, I'd rather, it can be when you're on your walk. You can do mindful. It's more incorporating mindfulness into your daily routines. We're all washing our hands a lot now. So when you wash your hands, you know, do it in a mindful way. When you're doing the dishes, which I know I don't really love doing the dishes, but when you do them in a mindful way, in a slower way, instead of like whipping the stuff in the cupboard and going, when am I going to be done? Or eating, mindful eating. Like we all will eat 3 times a day. And are you on your computer? Are you at TV doing, how do we quietly sit just with no distractions and actually eat? Would challenge to chew each bite 10 times, because then you become more satiated, you know, digestive enzymes working. How do we incorporate those mindfulness techniques into your routine? So I think it's the intuition, sit with it before you reach out to others. And then how do you incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine? Washing, eating, even walking too.
And in terms of like connecting with our future children, something I have clients to do is to write a letter to their future children, literally inviting them to join. Because I think, like you were saying, sometimes that women, they can't even imagine themselves being pregnant or having a baby because they've been trying for so long, or especially if they've had medical diagnoses as well, where they're told it's very unlikely, it could be really difficult. So this can be really illuminating as well, that it brings up the triggers, and then there are things that you can work through with mindfulness, with hypnotherapy, with emotional freedom technique. You can then start to clear these triggers if you're aware of them. But if you don't ever open that door, you sort of don't have that awareness. Are there other things? Who was the lady that you're creating the course with?
So Dr. Emma Brodzinski, she's actually in the UK. So she's a therapist / shaman, and she takes a shamanic perspective too. So really, that's really working with energy and healing, and she'll do shamanic journeying with people as well. That the journeying, it's more of a visualization that show, because the shamanic journeying can maybe sound a little bit like super woo-woo, but it's really visualization to be able to, you know, and especially for someone that has a diagnosis like the POF or low AMH, like we've helped people get pregnant naturally, or, you know, get pregnant at the clinic with that. So it's just because even though someone has told you that, if they don't know about the functional side of things, and there's things you can do, you know, people can get pregnant with 0 AMH. So it's even though the medical side of things is there and you want to include that as part of your team, you know, recognizing that if they don't know about that side of things, they don't know the power of, lots of studies with mindfulness from Alice Domar from Harvard researcher, studied for over 20 to 30 years studying mindfulness for fertility. And then the spiritual side of things, being able to, like, there's not a lot of documentation on that, but it just, I know when I've done the spiritual work, like that's where like the gold is in there, where you're like, damn, you just feel differently. You feel anything is possible, and that you're just lighter. Like, you just feel not this burden of, oh my goodness, I'm doomed. It's like you just feel lighter, and just a quiet knowing. It's a quiet knowing.
I think it's the thing, isn't it, that it's obviously the whole point of why people have a particular faith or religion or spirituality is because it's something like bigger than us, that it's not this whole weight, that it's like it's just me that's in charge of everything and therefore I have to try and control everything. Is like you're opening it up and it's giving you that connection to something so much bigger. But it, like you said, because there's not the studies, and now like there are the studies around mindfulness, and this hopefully in the future there will start to be the studies. And so I wanted to talk about this today and kind of open this up, that like you said, a lot of things people are kind of like, oh, and that, that's the woo stuff, like, oh, I don't want to go there. And it does seem to be the longer someone's been on the journey, the more open they are to how woo you go, basically. And then it's kind of like, well, this is another door to open, something else to discover. But there's so many benefits that it's not just about getting pregnant. It's about you having something that's really for you. Like you said, having that walk, or that something in your home, something that connects you back to yourself and allows you to feel supported by whatever your faith is or your spirituality, but knowing that it's also your intuition you can tune back in with is so beautiful, so beautiful.
Yeah, even Dr. Emma, she's been a therapist for years, and she always has had these spiritual nudges and always had these intuitive hits. And she was like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, that's so woo woo. Like, I'm a doctor. Like, what the, like, I don't, what is this stuff? And then she's like, spirit just kept talking to me and telling me. And then I began to listen, and, she's open about it now. But yeah, for years, because she was the left-brained achiever, and she had triplets, and through IVF, and she saw her future children, and in like a very vivid image of them, and so like it took her years though to assimilate it all, because she was so left-brained. And so I work with a lot of the left-brained people, which coming over to like expanding you as one, right? Not just you as the achiever, you as a whole person. It's just integrating the mind, body, spirit. It's really powerful.
Oh, I love it. And so tell us about, you said with your you run an online program, but you also bring in all of the, is it open to people globally? Is it online? You said you do the testing, but is that open to people wherever they're based?
Yeah, so I work with couples. We do couples coaching program. It's a 6-month couples coaching program, including functional testing. So this testing we're talking about, and we work with couples worldwide. So we use the testing and then develop that targeted diet and lifestyle program. So I'm on team. There's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. She's the one that's doing the testing. I'm helping people make those changes, and it's couples exclusively. If there's a single person that's going through donor, then a sperm donor, we coach them as well. But typically it's couples, because to me it's just like with women, the whole other equation is your partner and having everyone together. And there's lots of things, even I'm typically female factor infertility, but lots of things that your partner can do to improve his preconception health. And it's seeking a very, like, the functional approach is seeking for the root cause, what healing opportunities have been missed. And for me, I discovered bladder infections, yeast infections, regular cycles, sinus infections, all these infections for me. And then years later, I got the POF diagnosis, and then years later, all these infections came in, and then was able to heal them with diet and lifestyle changes. And so it's just a very holistic way of looking at this. Yeah.
And I'd really recommend everyone to check out your podcast, because you share so much information on there, and you've got very specific topics as well. So whatever someone's dealing with, they can, you know, they can go find. You've got so many amazing podcasts on there. So I recommend everyone checks out the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, and search for like whatever your particular issue is, because there will be nuggets of gold there with this information, because that's really what it feels like, is that you're kind of, with treatment, a lot of the time you can just be given this blanket diagnosis that doesn't take, that just hasn't looked at the full picture at all. And it feels people spend so much time and so much money going down this very, very, very narrow path, which can be just IVF. And that was the same thing. We went through 4 rounds of treatment, and got pregnant on the last round, but then miscarried. And I had both my children naturally. And it was like, you know, I've made all these lifestyle changes, these diet changes, these mindset changes. I'd worked through my blocks. I'd worked for hypnotherapists. I'd, you know, basically changed all these things, which can feel very, very daunting. So I can see as well how some people can be like, oh, IVF seems the simple route, because you're kind of handing over all the responsibility to the clinic, and they tell you what to do and what to inject and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it can feel like if you're going for the more mind, body, spirit approach, you're like, oh God, does that mean I have to, like, you know, address things that I don't want to address and go there? But I found like it feels very much, as I also support women through pregnancy and birth and into motherhood. And it can feel, infertility can be such a wonderful opportunity to deal with all this crap. Because if you don't deal with this stuff, then you can deal with it while you're pregnant, or deal with it during birth. Birth can be a time for a lot of trauma and stuff to come up and be dealt with, or dealing with it when you have your kids. Whereas if you deal with it all now, isn't that so much better, that then you can go into this next stage of your life having this, like you said, that just sense of peace, that sense of, oh, like, I'm okay. Like, whatever is thrown at you, then you can deal with that, rather than it being like, oh, the tiniest thing is just too much to cope with.
Yeah, work on it now. And it, like, the conventional side of thing is a pill for an ill, and you go to your gynecologist. I just interviewed a functional gynecologist on my podcast, and so she, you know, spent years in conventional medicine, had her own kind of dark night of the soul and health issue, and found the functional side of things. And now, and I kind of asked the question, well, at what point would you refer to the fertility clinic? And she said she wouldn't. Similar to me, it's like, basically, like, work on these things now, and there's a few things that actually, you know, you potentially would need to go to the clinic. But why, if it was developed for tubal issues, is it used for everything now? People think, oh, your OBGYN, she or he refers you off to your RE. And I'm kind of like, well, the body is yelling at you, telling you something's going on. Like, I didn't get a second opinion. I went straight to donor eggs, but like, that does not need to be the case. And like, there's lots of things we can do, but it, you know, that's why to have someone help you, because you can go down a rabbit hole of self-prescribing and trying all the steps, and then you're just like, it didn't work. But really having someone to help you fast track the success is sort of is key. And, you know, we use testing and stuff too to target it, so you're not just taking a bunch of supplements and a bunch of stuff that you don't even know why you're taking it. But if you believe it's not going to work, you're probably right, because you won't do the work. So you do have to do the work. Like, it is, you know, if you believe it's not going to work, okay, maybe it probably won't work for you. It won't work for you, right? Because you've already preconceived notions that you want. And so the clinic side of things might be what's right for you. And if that's the case, if you are selecting to go like with a fertility treatment, I believe that like a mind body, like the mind and the spirit side of things is like key for your success. I wouldn't be making any huge changes with diet and addressing, you know, fungal infections and parasites if you're going to the clinic, but I would be working on your mindset to visualize a positive outcome for sure.
Yeah, because there's so many studies that show that by bringing that in can double your chance of success. So it just seems like completely logical that, I suppose that's the thing, because it's like both his work, when to shout this in the rooftops and say to everyone, it's like, there's so much you can do to support yourself, because we've obviously been through it and now working with people. So amazing. So I'm going to put in the show notes links to your website and your amazing podcast. is there anything else you would like to share with people before we wrap up today?
They can check out my fertility diet freebie. So fertility diet freebie, FREEBIE, and it's a 3-day fertility diet challenge. So it's got chef prepared recipes, and they can check that out. But for me, it's like your body is whispering to you every day. When you ignore the signals, it'll shout at you in the form of disease. So most people that come to me, it's not just infertility. There's other things going on in their bodies. It's like those digestive issues that we're putting up with, those headaches we get, those mood issues, those joint pain. Like there's other things going on. And instead of, pushing forward and pumping your body full of medication, let's address the whole body and see if we, working on your preconception health. Why do we spend 12 to 18 months planning for the wedding and we expect to get pregnant month one?
Yeah.
Switch that around. And 12 to 18, not to say you need 12 to 18 months, but at least a minimum of 3 to 6 months, in a perfect world, a year, but to prepare your body, because this is your pregnancy, your postpartum period, the health of your children, your children's children, in the grand scheme of things, working on this stuff right now. Like for you and I, people listening, their health, it has impacted their fertility. So other people, it's diabetes, cancer, but for us, it's infertility. So this is a huge, like a red flag and a wake-up call to say, what can I do to empower myself to really allow my body to heal?
Amazing. And just, it's been so lovely speaking to you. It's so lovely to speak to someone who's other people who's passionate about this as me. So it's so nice for you to come on and share this with my listeners. And yes, I'll put links. The 3-day diet thing sounds absolutely fantastic, and I will share that in my Facebook groups as well, so everyone is aware. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.